Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, guys. Make sure that you try these supplements out. They're very, very good, very healthy, natural, and you can check the link in the description box. That is Nature's Blend Black Seed Oil, and they have other things as well. Oh. Put your hand away, little boy. Boy. Hope you enjoy the videos. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another podcast of The Green Room. We're joined with a very special guest today, who I'm going to introduce. He's a professor of philosophy a research professor of philosophy at Azusa Pacific University. He specializes in analytic metaphysics with interest in mind and philosophy of religion. His name is Joshua Rasmussen. How are you doing, Professor Joshua?
I'm doing great, thank you.
You're okay?
It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's a very big pleasure. I mean, I've been reading your book, which I recommend for people to actually buy. It's a book called Necessary Existence, which covers some very pertinent and important arguments for God's existence or the existence of a necessary being. Could you tell us just in brief of what this book is all about?
Okay, yeah. So that book, Necessary Existence, that's about using the tools of philosophy and reasoning to argue, as you put it, for a necessary foundation or a thing that cannot not be and has the power to produce other things. And I just want to add here, my more recent book, How Reason Can Lead to God, I build on this argument for a necessary foundation and argue that this necessary foundation would also have a supreme nature, would actually be God in the classical sense.
So the book is divided into this one, which I'm familiar with because I've pretty much read it. It's divided into about 6 chapters. So one of them is a traditional cause-based contingency argument, and then one of them relies, the rest of the arguments, five other arguments, relies on modal logic. Is that about correct?
Yeah, in the sense that they are arguments from possibility. So
Yes.
What's very interesting about those chapters is we show that we show independent reasons to think that it's just possible that
Yes.
there's this necessary foundation. And then using modal logic, the logic of possibility and necessity, we deduce that if that's possible, then there really is such a thing.
And then there's a big
that's
segment
kind of
of
an
the
unusual
book.
path. But yeah, go ahead.
There's a part of the book which deals with kind of like objection handling. So I wanted to start off with the actual argument itself. You mentioned that the argument can be made on kind of causal lines and explanatory lines. What is the argument in a nutshell? How would you explain it to maybe a lay audience? How do you prove the existence of a necessary being?
Yeah, so I think of it in terms of pathways. And I like to build pathways that start with people's own position. In fact, I have a website called necessarybeing.com. And this is just a survey site, and it asks you about your beliefs, and it shows how to deduce a pathway from your beliefs to a necessary being.
Yes.
Now, in one of the opening chapters, our opening argument gives a kind of classical pathway. And the kind of simple formulation of that goes like this.
Yes.
So premise 1, any contingent portion of reality or any contingent thing or things is going to depend on something. It's going to be caused by something, or it's not going to just exist on its own. There's going to be something else that produces it. Then the next premise would be something like, if every contingent portion of reality has a cause or depends on something, then there's got to be some kind of non-contingent or necessary portion of reality, and so therefore there is a necessary or non-contingent portion of reality. So that would be a simple formulation of the argument.
And in terms of proving now that this is something more than, I don't want to go straight into objections because I want to spend a bit of time with you, but someone could say, well, this is a mental construction. I mean, what you're talking about here is conceivable possibly in the mind only. Is this correct, or could this be something which is applicable to both the so-called real world around us as well as being a mental construction?
Yeah, I know. I really appreciate this question because it gets at this more basic question about like how we can know anything.
Yes.
About anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, why think that the thoughts that we have in our own minds apply to the actual world outside our minds, right? But if you start thinking about it, you can sort of test this by a principle of self-defeat. I mean,
Right.
so like, let's say that you say that, well, reality is completely unknowable and nothing you say about reality can be true. Well, is that true?
Right.
Is that true about reality? Right?
Right.
And so that's self-defeating, because as soon as you say that you can't say anything about reality, you've just said something about reality.
Yes.